Not exactly sure why yellow to you, but hopefully it's not really going to be mattering all that much. Right now it's going to be basically a test. If we were correct with eliminating 0, we are in here. He was really the one having the connection issues or not. Because if it's yet again going to be problematic, well, then we will have to find the problem somewhere else. But let's be optimistic and hope that it's of course going to be okay. And right now we are looking at the bottom, where we have, or rather on the left side, where we have Mor0nZ, Rango and Penetranto. So far it seems to be going quite fine. So hopefully that was exactly what was the problem in here. And he's going for a dock, not ideal position. As you can see, there's going to be a cove in here. But also looking at the map overall, that's probably not going to matter all that much. As in 2v2, you don't have the same map as 3v3 with the peninsulas being so pronounced on the map. And well, he placed it very nicely, as he's going to be having short time with return in front of fishing boats right next to his dock. First forest of course cast for him, so that he has proper use of it, and he has already discovered the piggies on the very back, so that's very useful for him, as obviously he can lure them in and even help himself with the TC. If the boar actually goes back, which it doesn't, but it's not really all that much of a problem, because at least it saved him a bit of a damage, and yeah, since he's Atlantean, he's not going to matter, or rather mind all that much where the pig dies. Yep, Red has already found what he was looking for. He has found the first forest, and what his opponent is going to be. That's going to be the Gaia, and he's also very nicely scouting, trying to discover all the pigs that are going to be helping him quite immensely. And oh well, unfortunately he didn't really return this fast enough, as this pig is right now going to be stolen for him, and that's also because Rango was actually using the piggies for scouting, which is a pretty good idea. But well, on Medit, you kind of have to be careful, because if you lose them, you are not going to be having advantage of them in your early economy. So first relic is better Hoplite, Spearman, Ulfsark and whatnot, Hack Attack. Not half bad, especially because of the Hoplite, so that might be kind of interesting for the Zeus player Piske BR, who would be definitely looking forward to use that. And well, his dock placement is very nice, he's kind of on the promontory exactly, kind of better a bit here, but it's literally like a few centimeters, so that's not going to matter all that much for the green player. So Red having quite nice position, of course, and there was yet another relic at the bottom next to his front DC, which is better Village Gold Gatherer. That's pretty sweet, and of course going to be target for either Rango or Piske very soon. Piske might even go for some early Jason in there. Well, let's see if that's going to be the truth. I kind of expect that it will, of course, for some early aggression from him on the docks, and very nice position of the dock, of course, for a low-key PE as well. So yeah, nicely positioned and quite a lot of fish right next to his economical building. Otherwise, in his base, not much interesting stuff, quite a lot of piggies already for him. Otherwise, where is he having the wild boars? We don't see them yet. Ah, we see actually the first one on the right, which is kind of surprising that he didn't go for it, as obviously he has seen it from this tower, so yeah, it's kind of suboptimal for him, but he probably thought that he needs to get there as fast as possible, and he didn't want to have any problem with losing any kind of resources and potentially villager building time in the early game. So those two piggies, they were actually gathered here from Loki PE, but he probably didn't notice as he was paying attention somewhere else, and well, that cost him quite important food, and on the other side, it also gave some important food to his opponent, as Zeus is pretty strong if he has a lot of picks in the early game in here on this map. Siege weapons cheaper, not bad. Not that game changing, but not really bad either. And well, you can see that Loki PE is really taking his job seriously with the scouting. He's trying to see absolutely everything between him and his opponent Penetranto. And Penetranto is already quite nicely preparing, as he's already having pretty decent amount of picks, moving it through gold. So he should be advancing into the next age very soon, right about now. Yeah, he's clicking into Freya at 330, so that's going to be 430 advance. And well, this is going to be quite interesting to see how this is going to develop. Yet another relic is better town center population slots. That's absolutely awesome relic that you always want to see. And what we should be seeing is those 3 oracles on the right side from Rango. So they are probably trying to scout his opponent very soon or very early and trying to see what's going to be happening inside his base and what kind of strategy he is going for. He's already advancing through Athena, of course, on Medit. So yet another Gaia forest being cast. Kind of missed it. Was it for his ally? That would be the second forest that I would be actually expecting, but apparently it's not. So the second Gaia forest is also being cast for Rango for his own defense. So it almost seems like they're actually not going for a special strategy right now, and they are just going for a full-on battle on the water, and he will be probably trying to emulate Nyan Racing Cat, the player from Absolas, the champions from last season. And well, Nyan is definitely great with all Atlanteans, and especially with Gaia, with whom he has actually won a game on Medit in the first round, I think, if I remember correctly. Already finished with the next H is of course Loki PE and Rango as well through Oceanus. So yeah, going for military barracks right inside his base, and of course 4 extra boats in here, having 2 docks already, with Blue also having 2 docks, and I'm kind of thinking that's going to be the theme for all of 3, or rather all 4 players in this game, as obviously that's something that you want to make, or rather do. Piskebier is already under attack on the water from Rango, as Rango was much faster to advance. The red player is just now going with his first bow out of it, with also having the servant in here. That could definitely be a help. And of course I'm looking at Caladria, and that's a pretty nice one, either for getting some extra damage, or rather taking some damage from those boats, basically like Pegasi, or she can of course help with healing the units. Yeah, so that's a pretty nice one. Let's see how fast it actually heals. She actually growth or stuck to healing this one? Probably not so far, so she's not really migrated all that well. But well, let's have a look at the top side, where Loki PE is just waiting for the correct moment to attack his opponent. But look in how Penetranto is having a pretty decent naive already, and the Norse boats are pretty strong. They are having a lot much more extra attack, 7 attack against just 5. Well, that could definitely be something that he might be taking advantage of quite nicely. Carnivora being cast at the bottom, while this battle should be coming pretty much okay. Or the blue player I would be expecting, as Loki PE is not using the advantage of faster boats that he is having, which basically means that he's receiving quite a lot of extra damage from the blue boats, but this shockwave is not really half bad, and it allows him to deal some pretty decent damage. And look at how he's able to pump out the boats a lot faster than his opponent. Well, he's doing quite well, and it's not going to be all that easy for the blue player. At the bottom, green is also doing quite nicely against his opponent, Piskebier, who is fighting right next to his docks, and yeah, Carnivora is cast. Well, it was probably cast into the enemy boats, but unfortunately right now it seems to be pretty much useless. So usually you want to cast it next to the dock. So even though it's getting damaged by the dock itself, it can actually deal some damage, and it's not dealing an inconsequential amount of damage. You can see 15 attack. That's not really half bad, and it can really be a bit problematic, especially. Oh man, that was just Piskebier getting it some justification of, well, killing at least one boat before it is killed itself. At the top we see a bit of a switch from Rango, also helping his ally Blue on the very top. So that's a pretty decent idea by him, but unfortunately it wasn't very well coordinated, as Penetranto wasn't in the battle at all. And that meant that green was just there alone, basically fighting 1v1, and that wasn't something that he was probably hoping for. So he had to retreat back to the bottom, as his venture to the top of the water basically allowed Piskebier to amass some kind of boats, some kind of a navy for himself. And well, looking at the amount here, he could be kinda close to restoration. I'm kinda thinking that this could be a pretty good idea for him stand down soon, as those boats from green are pretty much dead. And here we see the first forest fire being cast at the very back, and well, it's nicely played. And even though Loki P here was having just the one villager in here, it's also pretty powerful for him, as he is denying one very big tree line. And yeah, there are still 2 extras, but they're going to be all that much easier for the blue player to potentially raid with the Valkyrie in here. So, what's up now? Hopefully it's not any kind of drop or whatnot. Please, 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 no. Okay, so that's some kind of just a moment elapsed, so hopefully it's not going to really repeat all that much. But at the bottom, and Penetranto is having some kind of problems apparently. That's unfortunate, as you can see he's right now a threat. And well, right now, Minotaur and also Odysseus at the bottom is trying to take care of those towers and trying to make sure that he can have some kind of way into the opponent's base. There's some kind of problem, but hopefully it's going to be coming fine just about now. Piskebier going for restoration, trying to save all the boats from the blue player, and that's kind of nicely played, because right now ONUs have been able to corner their opponents into fighting 2v2 in coast spaces, and that was very nicely played. And the restoration should be exactly what's going to win then the water, but I'm not exactly sure I'm going to call it yet, because Steel is having quite a decent amount of boats in here, even though they are facing, or rather battling right next to Mor0nZ, which means that Mor0nZ should be having easier time replenishing the losses. But, well, it really seems like that Pisca with Rango right now, or rather Pisca with Loki PE, are in a pretty great spot to take the water quite convincingly, as Green is not really building all that many boats, he's just right now building them at the bottom. Even third dock, well, so he's definitely not giving up, and we'll see if they will be actually able to come back. I'm not exactly sure about this, because this was pretty convincing victory, and it also means that Pisca BR with Loki PE should be killing the blue opponent very soon. He's already building extra boats, but still not hoping that he can actually hide them inside the docks and hope, or rather wait for some better moment with Rango, and well, this could be pretty much it for the water battle, as really Pisca with Loki are in pretty good position, and looking at the sheer numbers, they are well on their way into securing the water. At the same time, if you look at the land, there is a second TC already being built by Rango, so he's switching quite fast. Loki PE though as well, also going for a second TC, so that's double Atlanteans in this game going for that, whereas this battle is pretty much won. And at the bottom though, it's not really, as Rango is not giving up altogether, hoping that he can make life of Pisca quite difficult. But Pisca is not giving up either, so he is still building quite a lot of them from his two docks, and it seems to be that it might be just enough, and he will be basically waiting for his ally Loki PE to arrive from the top, and also his own boats from the left flank coming into Green's base here and basically close the deal in there just nicely. So yeah, pretty good job by ONU, and they seem to be handling the water quite nicely. Second TC though is also being the case for Penetranto, who is switching into the land as fast as he can, with third TC in the front one being captured by Rango. So he's hoping that he can actually capture it before he's under some kind of attack. And really, this seems like to be the case, as he is the only one on the right side having the army. Pisca was starting just a moment earlier, and that's definitely not going to be fast enough. Odysseus thinking the better value to go to get rate, of course pretty nice help for him. And well, you can see that just one military academy and one archery range for Pisca, so he's probably going to be attempting to advance into the next age sometime soon, because he's not even going for a second TC yet. That's going to be a bit of a raiding. Probably not any kind of tower, even though I'm thinking that Pisca should be having enough resources for that, because he's probably not going to be continuing with the naval production. And yeah, pretty nice raiding in here, but probably same raiding is going to be happening on the left side, because if you have a look at the minimap, we see quite a lot of blobs in here, a different color, the blue and teal of course, and teal is right now fighting the Valkyrie. It's probably going to die. Oh well, yeah, she's virtually dead right now totally from the hero Turma, so pretty nicely played. And there Loki can see that Penetranto is definitely thinking that he can switch into offensive very soon, and that might really be the case, because he has taken the front TC, and that's going to be a very nice defensive position for him to defend against any kind of attack that is coming from Loki PE. But Loki has been first to go for the second TC on the left side, which means that he's also having a bit upper hand, also because of the water obviously. And yeah, you can see 30C at the very back being captured by Penetranto, and the economy seems to be much better right now for Mor0nZ, as they should be much better set up for what is to come in the next minutes. But they also have to be careful, as there's a bit of a threat on the villagers on the left if Teal is going to continue there, but he doesn't seem to be going there all that much, so he might just miss them actually. Let's see if he switches to the left or right, and he is going to the right, and he's going to be discovering at least those wood billies, and maybe even the TC, and since it's just two Ulfsarks, half dead, he could be successfully denying the TC here, but so far, he's killing quite a lot of billies, and that's a very nice job by him, and a pretty tough situation for Penetranto. He's at least researching the towers, so that he's not going to be susceptible to this kind of raiding yet again. And of course, what this bought him is the time to finish the TC, so he will be at 3 TCs in just a matter of moments. Same cannot be said about Loki PE, who is not thinking about the front TC just yet. He's just building quite a lot of military to potentially push his opponent off some kind of resources or whatnot, but that's pretty much it in here. And we should be having a look on the right side as well, as Rango is right now forced to battle Pisca BR, who is at 2 TCs as well, as he has taken the front one, and he's also taken the back one, so right now he's at 3. So that's a pretty nice jump into economy for him, and well, we'll see if this kind of raiding is going to be enough to stop his opponent from doing anything. So far it doesn't seem so, as Rango is doing a pretty good job in defense, especially with the Chiaro Ballistae, they're going to be quite nice for him to help against those hoplites, and it seems like that Pisca BR should be switching into different army, as really, if Green can manage to scare Ballistae nicely, they will be pretty strong unit against the army that Pisca BR is right now having. On the water, there is actually everything decided, of course, as we have seen a bit earlier. One building of each for the red player, Loki P, right now advancing into the next age, and he will be probably expecting the jump into the next age from Piske BR as well, but so far he doesn't seem to be ready all that much. What's interesting about this map is that there's actually not any gold at the back, which is slightly unfortunate for Piske, who will definitely be forced to capture this part of the map, because without this gold he doesn't have any, which is really curious if you have a look at it. But look at how he Zeus, and he will be fighting Gaia in here. Even in wobbly balance budget, this is going to be quite interesting fight, and since he has the advantage of the water, the red player, he should be having the upper hand overall. Nicely placed Carnivora to get rid of those pesky archers, and to take quite a lot of damage from them. So nicely played, and this was kind of foolhardy attack by Piska. He was probably hoping, or rather thinking, that he can take on the DC right on, but looking at the amount of Kera Ballista and whatnot in here, that's not going to be as easy for him at all. So he's being forced back to his TC, which makes a problem, rather makes it problematic for the gold, and he, fortunately for him, does have one at the back that I didn't notice a bit earlier. But at the same time, I don't really see any extra behind, so this is just going to be lasting him for like maybe up to advance into Mythic. That's pretty much going to be it, and if he doesn't consolidate the map before then, he will be in a lot of troubles. If not, even before that. So this is a battle he should be retreated from. Because he doesn't have anything in here in the tanky. So he's going to be losing the Kera Ballista very easily through Hippicons right now. But he is not, so let's switch to the top, where the battle is raging as well between Loki P and Penetranto. And well, it seems like that Penetranto is actually pretty nicely ready. Yeah, he's having a very nice amount of army right now, quite a lot of throwing axemen. And this seems to be pretty much the correct army against Loki PE, even though Loki is in the mythical or rather heroic age. But because he is facing quite a lot of throwing axemen, yeah, destroyers are not going to be useful at all. Literally at all. So yeah, pretty nice tower spam right now by the blue player, who will be forcing, or rather hoping, that he can actually do something against what is coming onto him, going for Pierce armor as well, so that's pretty nice. Of course, going to help against Archive that are bound to be coming from Loki PE. But well, so far they are not, and they seem to be thinking that, or rather Loki PE seem to be thinking that he can actually go for some kind of TC raiding. But looking at the very nicely placed walls from his opponent, I don't really think that's very likely. Bit of a raiding by Teal, I'm not exactly sure how you got there. Probably from the right side somehow, and it almost seems like that he's actually having some kind of gathering point here, Teal. From some kind of building, because this is really weird. How would he get there? But well, he did. And yeah, he's going to be dying very soon for that. So goodbye, wasted resources. Not really all that much, but of course every resource counts. And well, extra building midpoints definitely going to help against the onslaught that is probably coming his way very soon. So let's have a look at the TCs of potentially blue, who should be advancing to the next stage sometime soon. Yeah, he's 65% into Bragi, but he's in a bit of a problem because Loki P is already into Mythic, and that's of course something that he probably did not expect, and Thea is coming in for the Gaia just about now. Bit of a battle on the right side as well, those Kera Ballista definitely doing their job, and also the Carnivora still eating soldiers in big numbers, and well, I'm kinda thinking that this is a pretty good position still for Rango, because if he can, once he advances through Thea, build a few palaces in here, this is going to be quite sweet position for him, and very hard for his opponent to somehow conquer. So is there going to be Heroic Age? Look at how he's housed. I would be expecting there will be Heroic Age from him very soon. So that's going to be just a matter of time, and yep, this gold is not going to be covered by green, as obviously this is something that Piske BR cannot buy. He's of course having medium Epicons, which is definitely going to help quite a lot, but I would really like for him to micro those Epicons a bit better. Right now he is attempting to do so into those Kera Ballista, because if he can eliminate them, he can just leave it up to Epicons, or rather up to Toxots, together with the hoplites to get rid of absolutely anything else, as that is a pretty strong combination of units. Artillery and Gatecast at the very back. At the gold, unfortunately there's not really any kind of trade, because they've just advanced into the next stages. But it's well in range of the TC, which is a big problem for Penetranto, because he doesn't have any kind of units in here. He's going to lose wood economy, or much rather food economy in here. There's just a few woodies in here. And he's of course quite probably going to lose the TC as well, and also the tower. So he will be forced to return with some kind of units. So far he's engaged at the top, where the battle doesn't seem to be going all that well, as the switch from Destroyers into Arca is definitely what was needed, and it seems like that Penetranto hasn't made the switch into correct units yet. He's finally right now going into raiding cavalry, but well, he did have quite a lot of medium throwing axemen, and that was just so easily killed by those Archi in here, so pretty nicely played, and it seems like that Loki PE is definitely pushing for it very strongly, very strongly. So this gold is not safe at all. Of course, for Penetranto, so once he loses this position and doesn't retreat soon, he's going to be in a lot of troubles. But he's having the gold at the back, and if he can somehow save it from the Tartarian gate and the TC as well, so far he isn't, so it almost seems like that this TC is going down, well, he could definitely be coming back into the game without all that much of a problem, really. So yeah, this TC is pretty much that. Let's just have it clicked and also have a look somewhere else, for example on the right side, where Pisca is still fighting against his opponent, and he is still just in classical age fighting against heroic Gaia. Well, it doesn't seem to be going all that well for him, even though he's having Olympic parentage. Those Ballists are pretty strong, and well, they are exactly the unit that Rango needs to be producing in bigger numbers, and hopefully, even with some extra upgrades, especially for his units at the front. Copper weapons, that's not bad. But looking how he's having just a few more mills. Not exactly sure if that's the correct one. And well, here we go with Balder and Ragnarok. Okay, so quite a lot of problems right now coming in for Loki PE. And even though he's right now killing the TC, it's not going to be mattering all that much. Because even if he kills it, he's going to be facing quite a lot of military in all those heroes of Ragnarok. And that was exactly the reason why he was gathering the gold in the forefront, that kind of thing. Because he was just waiting for the Ragnarok to come and lay waste to his opponent's base. So let's have a look at their upgrades. Bronze, copper, copper. Nah, it's kinda hasty. Kinda hasty Ragnarok, so it's not going to be as effective, but he was thinking that he needs to advance as fast as possible to surprise his opponent before he gets some upgrades himself, because Steel is having bronze, copper, so he's having much better than his opponent, and he can potentially defend against this, especially right now with Piske advancing into Heroic Age through Apollo at the correct moment, as he could be helping quite nicely through Underworld Passage. But, well, for that, he actually needs to be controlling this right side of the map, which is definitely not happening, as Rango is playing quite nicely. Quite nicely indeed, and well, Penetranto going for flame weapons, and we'll see if that's going to be enough or not. So far it seems like that Rango is doing a pretty good job against his opponent, as the production from Piske is not really fast enough, as he's having just one buildings of each. And basically 2 of each, and that's definitely not enough. He should be building a bit more, as he is facing a quite difficult situation with all those Archi in here. On the left though, you can definitely see that the heroes of Ragnarok are doing their job quite nicely. They will be killing the DC in just a matter of moments, but they are also going to receive quite a lot of damage from the Archi in the process and the TC itself, but the tower is not going to be coming up, and I'm kinda thinking that yellow, or rather teal, should be building. I would be expecting more towers than palaces, because palaces take quite a long time to actually make, and also they're, yeah, not really all that effective. So let's see if there's going to be any kind of effective help. We see a bit of an attempt at the very back. Interesting. Is he going to steal this one at the back? Probably. Yeah, he's moving there. That was kind of the interesting placement, because he has given up the position for green, but only if green was actually paying attention and casting it here. Well, I would be hoping that he would be casting it somewhere behind the fortress actually, because right now it's quite open and potentially very easy to get, or rather to kill. Which is probably what's going to happen in here, with a very strong push from Rango on the right side, but well, he is definitely going to steal the TC, as Penetranto is not going to be having enough heroes in here. They are just going to be killed by the Willies, I would be thinking. But let's see about that. And in the deals base, there's of course going to be happening exactly what we're expecting. So yeah, he's just going to get rid of them. There's not going to be enough help onto the TC, which is right now finished. And well, the economy is going to be up for the taking for Piske BR, even with the extra farms for the blue player. But Teal is in pretty deep trouble, as yeah, exactly as we were talking about, the palaces are definitely not the correct answer. He needs to build in towers rather than that, but he is doing all he can to defend as long as he can, because right now at least those fanatics will be helping him in defending against what is here to come. The towers are of course going to be quite nice help, the ones that were right next to his home base. Right. And build up palace, and well, he definitely is up to just 2 DCs, and he will be hoping that he can kill as many heroes of Ragnarok as he can, because if he doesn't Well, it doesn't seem that this map should be going all that well for them. He's losing quite a lot of Phillies repairing this TC, and yeah, there are still quite a lot of them left, and they are kinda still very much alive, and they could be really taking care of absolutely everything in their path just as they go. But this idea with the stolen TC at the back could be pretty powerful. Jason coming in pretty much the correct moment, so he could be killing the fire giant, but so far he isn't, and well, yeah. You need to be careful in here, as obviously this underworld passage wasn't really all that well cast, and on the right side it's also quite hotly contested by the full front attack by Rango in here. So the TC seems to be coming down in just a matter of moments, because it looks like Piskebiar doesn't have enough villages to repair it in here. So the Dragons are probably going to kill it very soon, together with those Archai, and this position seems to be very tough for Piskebiar, but at the same time he's probably not going to mind all that much that he loses a TC, but at the same time it's going to be one less building that is shooting at his opponent, and well, that's definitely something that he could be using for his advantage. You can see that Rango is playing quite well, trying to take advantage of that. And what's also interesting to see is that so far ONU are not taking advantage of the warm water and are not trying to deny any kind of TCs from their opponents, which is definitely something that would help Piske quite a lot. Taking care of this TC would help him immensely and will be something that he would be quite happy about. So TC at the back also killed by Piskebiar, so that's nicely played, at least for him. Rango right now at 2 TCs, whereas Piskebiar is still at 3, but he needs to take care of these fire giants, because if he doesn't, yeah, well, they will be killing those Phillies on the gold, and also the TC, which is much more important for him. But he seems to be losing the position at the forefront on the left, yeah, at the same time as OKP is losing the last TC, as he has right now been dropped to 0 TCs, but at the same time it seems like that he has finally reached the point where he has killed the remaining heroes of Ragnarok with his army, and yeah, this is going to be a comeback for him in just a matter of minutes, because he still has some villages, and even though his economy is pretty much wrecked at this stage, I would be expecting he's having just a few villages, it's probably not going to be enough. And yeah, with the palace being built here and also having some hero Mor0nZ, yeah, pretty good job, and it seems like that Penetranto will be forced to retreat and will be having quite hard time right now, because he doesn't have the TC at the very back, and also with his totally wrecked economy he shouldn't be having any kind of army. And looking how Loki PE is in a pretty good position with pretty decent army himself, should be in a good position to just take down the TC just by sheer power of his Mor0nZ, and should be in a pretty good position overall. But he needs to be careful, as because Piskebiar is getting quite heavily wrecked on the right side on this trade route. He has lost quite a lot of donkey caravans and also some villages in here due to very nice raiding from Rango. But is he going to find something interesting in here? Well, most definitely, because if those Archai go all the way back, well, not really great moments coming in for the red player, and also teammate Teal is also having some villagers in there. So this was Green was basically trying to position under the tower so that he wasn't shot at. Well, didn't really work out for him, but Peltas coming in, and they will be exactly the correct counter against these pesky Archai. So even without the TC, the situation seems to be slightly stabilizing in here, which could be also because Red is kind of paying attention to the position in here a bit more, trying to steal the trade tree, but he doesn't have the gold, I think, and Penetranto is also going to lose the trade route because Piskebiar is doing a pretty good job with this. Piske has just lost the TC, yeah, which is quite unfortunate for him, because he worked quite hard to keep it and actually take it, with Rango advancing into Mythical Age through Tartarian Gate, and this could be quite important for him, as if he places it correctly, it could allow him to basically, yeah, kill the opponent's economy, and this seems like a pretty decent placement. Right next to the TC, quite a lot of food economy in here, and even though there's some kind of army from Piskebiar, it's still going to mean that all those villages are not going to be helping his economy, which is probably going to result in some drop in his military units, and also probably going to lose quite a lot of them to the Tartarian spawns in here. So important battle, whereas the front TC is right now being taken by Rango, so that's a pretty good job in there, as he's trying to make the most of the situation. And well, even though this is right now getting killed, there's still quite a lot of Tartarian spawns that are killing just all the villages in here, and yeah, this Jason is not going to be fast enough to get rid of them fast enough as well. On the left though, we can right now see yet another switch in momentum, as Loki PE is using using his momentum right now to push forward against his opponent Penetranto, who is having kind of bad economy, and Volkipi is right now at 1 TC, is going to be at 2 reasonably soon, and this is kind of the window of opportunity for him to delete the blue player, and hopefully he will be fast enough to help his ally Piske BR on the right side, who is having all the hard troubles with figuring out what to do in there. He's also having quite a lot of release in the opponent's base, which basically means that they are reasonably dead right now, as Rango is is doing quite well in this stage. Basically denying any kind of nonsenses from him. So goodbye Odysseus in just a matter of moments, and I kinda think this should be the switch for ONU into some siege ships, because they need to control the town centers from Rango, both this one and also the front one the front one of Piske BR, because if they can control those 2 TCs and also the one extra by Penetranto in here, this would definitely go a long way towards securing the game and hoping that they can somehow still turn this around, because if I were to guess, at this stage I would be slightly favoriting Mor0nZ, but it's still kind of very open. So obviously on the left, they've just basically exchanged the destruction of the opponent's economy, and well, right now it's Penetranto trying to go back into the game, but with just 2 TCs and potentially just 1, that would definitely be very hard against Loki PE with 2 and potentially 3 very soon. Let's have a look at some upgrades for the players. Blue is having basically the same as he was having with the Ragnarok, just bronze and copper, whereas Steel is having basically the same as well, bronze and weapons, all bronze, yeah, all 3 bronze, whereas this TC seems to be right now not coming up, and Hero Villager, oh well, that was just kind of last moment, but looking at the amount of army right now coming from Penetranto, I'm not exactly sure if Loki P is prepared for this, especially looking at the Fire Giant in here, and oh well, this is definitely unsafe, and he should be scouting a bit more, possibly with this Villager. Have a look in here, if there isn't some extra safe gold, that would be definitely better for him in this stage of the game. So Ballista coming up as well, which basically means that Loki PE will be forced to remain at just 2 TCs for the next moment. But on the right side, it almost seems like that Piske BR is right now... I was going to say that he's on the verge of retaking his front TC, but so far definitely not happening, as those mythical units, Manticores, are not going to be good enough, looking at all the upgrades, and of course the hero archive from his opponent Rango. It's having just the baseline, so that's not really anything either. But we mustn't forget that Piske is still in Heroic, he's still not in Mythical Age. And that's, well, if he can advance into Mythical Age somehow, that would definitely be helping him quite a lot. Yeah, Hephaestus coming in just as we talking about it, 3%. And I definitely hope this is going to yet again resume the game as a bit earlier. Well, please don't be a drop. Please don't be a drop. That'd be definitely quite sucky. There's also a nice trade route for Red already going on, so he should be having pretty decent economy, and especially the gold in here. So I kind of thinking that he could be coming back reasonably soon if he can hold on fast enough. And we'll be seeing if on the left somehow Teal can hold his blue opponent, and on the right side if Red can actually finish somehow with the defense against his green opponent, but it's going to be quite hard. And even though Piske is just now advancing into the next age through Hephaestus, I'm kind of afraid for him that it might not be fast enough, because he doesn't have any upgrades, just copper shields, which is definitely not going to be enough, and he's facing quite a lot of army from his opponent, and also quite nicely upgraded, just baseline, but looking at his strong economy that is right now probably being sent to his ally to help him out a bit, well, he can definitely ramp it up a bit and be a bit better than his opponent potentially can. So right now I think that a pretty good chance for ONU to somehow salvage this game would be through water, as they have so far not used any kind of sea chips to prevent the TCs like from Rango and from the blue player at the very top, but they kinda need to time this correctly, because once they actually make their intentions known, it should be easy for Rango to actually counter that, so they should be using it in some strategical moment, so that they are surprising their opponents and potentially making extra use of that as soon as possible. Get another military academy built by one villager. Yeah, that's also a bit of a problem in here, as you should be building it a lot faster, because obviously this is a bit of a problem for him, as he's facing quite a big army and he doesn't have enough buildings and not enough not enough resources to even build the units from them, as you can see. Building mythical units, I think, is pretty much the correct answer, as even though Rango is having quite a lot of resources right now for his nicely boomed echo, he should be having a bit of a problems defending against that. And well, yeah, just going to be a matter of time if the Hephaestus is going to be researched or not, because those destroyers might be coming for the DC. And if there are enough reinforcements from Rango, well, so far they aren't, so that seems like a bit of a luck for the red player, because if they were, and he was having enough of them to take the TC down before the Hephaestus was gone, I kinda thinking that it would be pretty much a GG right there. But so far that's not going to happen, as we seem to be kinda containing the situation with the Manticore and the TC fire in here. And well, it seems like that Red will be in Mythical Age pretty safely, but he needs to be rebuilding somewhere else and hoping that he can somehow actually survive long enough for his Mythical Age to actually make any kind of difference. I'm not exactly positive that's going to be possible. Right now he's probably going to switch full on into Myrmidons, even though they are quite expensive, so I'm not exactly sure. And especially looking at those Fanatics already being prepared in here, Champion Fanatics, they are pretty much the correct counter for exactly Myrmidons. So I'm kinda thinking that the Hypaspis with Peltas and whatnot could be a better course of action with proper micro. It could be strong enough to defend in here. So let's have a look on the left. How's it looking with the battle in here? Loki did have a bit of a chance to go into his opponent before he had his economy back on his feet, but it seems like that window of opportunity has already closed, as Penetranto is going for full-on offensive. And since he has range siege in the ballista here, just one, but well, better than nothing, it's of course going to help with getting rid of the tower and also wrecking any kind of economy that Loki PE might be having next to his main TC. He still seems to be having quite a hard time with recuperating from the losses that he suffered under the Ragnarok. So it seems like that, well, Penetranto might be just on his way to basically finish his opponent with what he began during the end of the world that he was having. So this is also a big problem, of course, because Piskebiar is going to lose the income from the gold trade, and that's definitely something that he won't be able to come back from, because there is not any kind of gold at the back at all. Literally none. There is absolutely no gold in here. So he would be just selling some extra resources like food that he has from the sea potentially, but not really all that much even from that, because he didn't develop any kind of water economy, looking at just those three spots basically gathered by him. And yeah, we can already see something from Rango, and yeah, he is the one who is actually taking care of the boats from his opponents first. So that's kinda sloppy from Onus, who definitely had the chance to make use of the water economy and also of the abuse of the town centers. There was a moment where it would be making quite a lot of difference, but well, that seems to be basically gone. I mean, if Penetranto at 40 Cs, the same as Rango, and Piske is just one, Loki B at 2, I'm kinda thinking that or rather Onus, are right now fighting a losing battle, and that's kinda unfortunate because they were halfway actually and through winning it before the Ragnarok happened. On the right side, though, we have to say that Rango was playing quite well the whole game, as he was holding his Zeus opponent quite nicely through pretty good economy. And well, he did switch quite fast into Echo Boom after losing the water, and I'm kinda thinking that is exactly what decided the battle in here, as Piske was quite slow in that, and yeah, that basically allowed his opponent to get the upper hand and didn't allow him to advance into the next ages fast enough. And this is pretty much it. On the left side, you can see that he is right now going to lose units or other villages in here as well, kind of thinking from those destroyers, just trying to stop them quite nicely, trying to block them maybe a bit, but it doesn't seem like intentional, as they were still a bit more heading into the house in here. At the top side, Loki P is doing all he can to defend against what is coming his way, but looking at the huge amount of ballistae right now, this seems pretty much it, and yeah, there's not any army from Loki P, he's having just 4 Arca actually, that's his whole army right now, and that's not going to be enough at all, as he doesn't have anything to stop those ballistae at all, so they are just going to be taking care of the TC, and yeah, HBC resigns, and Onus are resigning, with Mor0nZ taking the second game, their home map, on Mediterranean, and, well, tying the match at 1-1, so pretty nicely played, and GG. Nicely played, and really nicely controlled by Mor0nZ, even though they lost the water, but well, when you win the water as Onus did, you have to take advantage of that, and they didn't. They didn't have any kind of water economy. They didn't use the water to push their opponents off the TCs, so it was kind of Pirha's victory. It didn't really help them at all. Okay, so let's have a look at the post game in here. With Rango in the MVP, he was playing the guy quite nicely. Yeah, civilian units high wasn't half bad, but he lost quite a lot of them to the Ragnarok in there. Normal advance times, that's a bit slower for Zeus. You would like him to advance at 430 as well, but it didn't really matter. They still won the water rather comfortably, I have to say. But this advance into Heroic was quite late. Of course, the Mythic, it just went from there. Civilian units, and yeah, you can see right now the Ragnarok and the drop. Pretty terrible drop for Loki PE, who dropped from somewhere like 40, maybe, something like 35, 40. That was probably the top that he had. He had even more at the very end, and he dropped to like 20. So yeah, that's like 20 villages, 20 citizens there, and that basically sends you into downward spiral that is very hard to overcome, especially when you look that the opponent Penetranto, even after Ragnarok, he was going back with his economic quite easily, very nicely. So yeah, nicely played. GG.